So, I thought I'd say something about chaos and relationships. In theory, it should go in the west of the wheel, but I just suddenly thought this is all getting too schematic, and this is about chaos. It's like, yeah, I can find a neat place for everything, and okay, that can be one way of doing things. But it's just like part of me just starts to go, no, 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 no. I need to bust out of this. So I'm not putting it anywhere on the wheel for now. I'm just going to talk about it. And I'm going to open with a little story from Lewis Madrona, the Cherokee Lakota guy that I've mentioned before. He wrote a book. He's written several books. Coyote Medicine was his first book, and that's well worth reading. He's both a conventional doctor and a traditional healer, and a lot of it's his own story of how he got there. Anyway, there's a certain point he gets to where he's got a family. By his own lights, by his own admission, he says, well, he did it too young and he just did it because he was with the person and it didn't work out. And here he is in his mid-30s or whatever. And he goes to see this old Navajo guy who's his teacher. I think the guy might be in his 90s or something. And Lewis says, you know, my life's going well, but I'm missing something. I'm missing my other half. He hasn't got a girlfriend. What should I do about that? And the old guy goes, Lewis, he goes, you've learned lots of things. You've got wisdom in many ways, but there's one way in which you may always remain stupid. Yeah. And that's that you believe in love. You've been watching too much Hollywood. So I thought that's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one because it's a very different perspective. Because, of course, we do believe in love. Yeah. We kind of get stuck to someone else. Yeah. It's like, it could be like two bits of sticky paper. That's how it feels to me. And we end up dependent. We end up devastated if they're not in our lives. Well, of course, if someone important leaves our life, we grieve. Yeah. But it's more than that. We lose our whole psychological stability. We lose our sense of who we are. Our sense of who we are gets tied up with that other person. Now, in a way, yeah, that's also natural, and we're human. But chaos isn't about getting stuck to someone else because we lose sight of the chaos. Yeah? That underlying flow in existence, that underlying nourishing flow of life, of energy, from which we draw our own life. We're always coming back to that. That's what chaos is about. And so we've got to be careful with relationships that we don't lose that. I referred in an earlier episode to Kierkegaard, the philosopher who broke off his engagement and became a philosopher. In a way, the daemon demanded he did that. The creative force in us, which possesses us. It's not ours to possess, it possesses us, and we have to live by its lights. And it may be going, you need to be creative. You need the whole of you present. You don't need a big bit of you leaking off somewhere else. So we're going to have you single. Yeah. And you can go to all the dating sites you like, but nothing's going to work. You're just going to be wasting energy and wasting time and not getting on with what you need to. So I'm coming at it. My starting point, in a way, is celibacy. Going back to Lewis Madrona, the old teacher said, just get on with your life, get on with your career, look after your kids. And when the spirit wants to send you someone, if it does, then so be it. But we can sit there in this state of lack. Yeah, I need someone. I need another half. That's why it's called the other half. It's like we no longer stand upright. And so there's a big teaching in that. Chaos needs us to stand upright, to own ourselves, to stand tall, as I put it before. And if you are in a relationship, you come at it from that point of view. Two people standing tall and delighting in each other. It should be delight. And yet, they're the cause of so much misery, aren't they? But there's something else I want to talk about in this as well. In a way, I'm just throwing up perspectives. I'm throwing up what happens when it goes wrong. Because what often happens is it's an unconscious deal. You think you're getting together because of this, that, and the other. But actually, what we do when we start getting together with someone, we edit ourselves. We edit ourselves consciously or unconsciously to please them, to become what we think they want us to be, so that they'll have us. Yeah. And two people do that. And once you've both done that, it's like you then fit together. Yeah. And that's falling in love. It's like, oh, I've found my soul partner. I feel complete. And yeah, there's joy in that. But it's hugely dependent on the presence of another person. So anyway, this is kind of normal. A lot of people will spend their whole lives like that. But then, maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line, 3 kids and a mortgage later, yeah, one of you, the spirit starts to move. You start to want to own stuff in yourself that you've been letting the other person carry. You start wanting to be conscious, more conscious. You start wanting to be honest with yourself about who you are. And the other person isn't necessarily going to like that because it threatens the reality you've built up. That's why when one person starts to wake up, the other person can start to think they've gone mad. The film American Beauty is a good example of this, where Kevin Spacey starts to wake up. He starts to actually do what he wants instead of what he ought to do, being caught up in the American dream as he was. And his wife thinks he's gone mad. But you can see that actually she's really the crazy one because she's still in the American dream and she believes in it. It's called a dream. So, and that can be a really difficult place, because you're having to remake yourself. If both people start to wake up, well, that's great. Yeah. You start to become really honest with each other. This is how a relationship really needs to work, is where both people can be honest about themselves with the other. Yeah. And okay, that's going to be difficult sometimes, it's going to be threatening sometimes, but that needs to be the foundation. Honesty, not carrying something for the other person and them carrying something for you. That's normal. That's how normal humanity works. But if you're really in this chaos shamanic thing, if the spirits have really claimed you, you can't do that. You need to be fully available for the spirits, not having half your psyche carried by someone else. So that can be another crisis. It can easily be the equivalent of the shamanic illness in a full-on kind of way. And it's like the spirits lead us into these things. They lead us by the nose. It's like, right, you get involved with that person. You fall in love with that person. You have 3 kids with them. And that would be great. And that would really serve everything for now. And then in 15 years' time, we'll pull you out. We'll make it unbearable. It's like you'll start to feel you can't breathe because you're waking up. That will really give you a crisis. That'll give you something to think about. That'll give you something to grapple with. Yeah, because you'll feel that your life's at stake. Your psyche's at stake. Yeah. Who you are is at stake. You don't know who you are, but you know you can't be as it was anymore. So you're in this crisis out of which something new can be claimed. It's time to become independent. And it can be a long journey to that independence. Partners can carry all sorts of mother and father stuff for us. They take care of us. We imagine they're taking care of us in ways that our parents did. And of course, that doesn't get talked about because it's not romantic, it's not sexy, it's shameful, all the rest of it. But eventually, we need to own up to these things and start to take care of ourselves. And then we really can be vehicles for the spirit.